Hi everyone, welcome to Mechmistry channel. Today we are taking a very important damage mechanism, that is a corrosion under insulation, and it's a hidden threat because it's not visible with the naked eye. We have to remove the insulation, and insulation is all over the plant, so it's very tricky where to open the insulation because it's a huge maintenance and costly. So let's here study what is this threat CUI, what are the technicalities involved, and how to overcome this issue in our plan to increase the reliability, because it's not visible with naked eye and it results a failure immediately but we cannot see. So let's start. Stay with me at the end of the session and you will learn a lot of things which you can implement for the overall reliability of the piping system. Okay, so let's start. So basically, corrosion under insulation, it's a corrosion of piping, pressure vessel, structure component resulting from the water trapped under insulation or fireproofing. So basically, when water get trapped under the insulation, it causing the corrosion over a period of time. So keys, we have to do whatever we can do to avoid the water ingress in our insulation system. So basically, what is insulation system? First of all, outer this shiny sheet, that is we are calling cladding, that is made of SS foil. So first of all, there will be outer layer of cladding, then this will be the insulation material, insulation thickness, and insulation thickness depend upon the what amount of energy, heat energy we want to conserve, otherwise it will get dissipated in the environment. So what amount of energy we need to conserve, and what is the energy stored, heat energy stored in our piping, like it's a temperature 500 degree or 1000 degree, or it's a lower side means minus 100 degree. So that actually determines the thickness of that insulation. Then our insulated pipe, this is my pipe thickness. Okay, so basically insulation is provided to conserve the heat and to avoid the heat losses and increase the overall the plant performance. So when there is a damage in insulation, or when we have provided sealing joint on the top and it may ingress the rain water, so water and other contaminants enter through the damage or unhealthy coatings. So any damage in the insulation or the joint, so that will lead to the moisture entrance in our insulation system. The temperature, the high temperature pipe get heat up tapped water. So what water tapped, that get heated and further it get condensed from get heated and dissolved in the insulation, further it get condensed from the insulation to pipe. So what are the salts are in this insulation material? These salts are dissolved in the water and they get concentrated on the steel pipe. Okay, so that over a period of time, because it's a wet there will be wet conditions, so it will along with salt it get deposited and it will cause corrosion, localized corrosion in our piping system, that lead to the failure from the OD side. So here there are a few examples of insulation system which we will see later in detail, like this system. This is foam glass, and in foam glass you see over a period of time after removal, so you can see the rusting has started. So basically there was some fault in this system, and that's why you can see the damage. But this silicate block. Here see you don't have seen any moisture ingress over a period of time, and this insulation system seems to be good. It's our normal conventional insulation system, rock wool, and here you can see the damage and moisture ingress which lead to the further this formation of the iron scales. So this we will see in detail. Now basic understanding of the corrosion and insulation. So first is there will be an ingress of vapor and water in our insulation system, and this the cladding is the first line of defense. When it get damaged, it will enter and it will remain longer in the insulation system, and that will cause the corrosion. Here you can see the examples. So the water get trapped, stay longer, and it will cause the corrosion. So see how here it's a damage, insulation damage. Now atmospheric water through the rain or moistures get enter in the system, and most of the water cannot escape. Some of the water can escape, but most of the water remains in this. So this insulation got wet for a longer period. So water accumulate under the jacket, substrate stays wet, eventually causing the corrosion. So the pipe remain wet for the longer period, and it will cause the corrosion. So this is the basic mechanism. Now corrosion under insulation. So what are the critical factors and material affected? So carbon steel and low alloy steel. So in carbon steel and low alloy steel, these are the most susceptible metallurgy. You can see rough pitted appearance, usually covered with the loose scales. And also in SS also you can see external external CUI, that will be in SS, it will be in form of stress corrosion cracking. So due to CUI, it will result in stress corrosion cracking if chlorides are present in my insulation. So while the duplex stainless steel are less susceptible, SCC failures has occurred in duplex steel also. So they are resistant but not immune. So basically carbon steel, you can see direct pitting, rough pitting appearance, and stainless steels, due to chloride presence, you will see CUI in the form of cracking. So what are the temperatures? So this is very important for the classification of our piping system, which are more prone for the CUI. So we need to have the list of piping and equipment which are susceptible for the CUI. So how we can classify that? This first is based on the temperature. So carbon steel, low alloy steel, and 400 stainless steel, these are susceptible for CUI when operating temperature range is -12 to 175 degree. So if my any of the piping system in this metallurgy is operating between -12 to 175, it is susceptible for the CUI and need to be considered in the CUI elimination strategy program. And if my piping is SS, either 304 or 316, the temperature range of 60 to 175 is most prone to the CUI, so it needs to be taken care. So 60 to 175. And for duplex, the temperature range of 140 to 175 susceptible for the CUI. Okay, now we will see what are the other critical factors which are responsible for the CUI. First is temperature. If temperature is high, the chances of CUI will be high, but CUI we considered 175. Above this 175, if it is insulation is wet, it will not remain wet because the water in the insulation get dry out immediately. So temperature is a factor. The most critical temperature is 121. So at 121 there will be more moisture stay in the insulation for a longer time, so that's to be avoided. New duration of the wetting. So if my insulation is wet for the longer period of time, it will cause the higher corrosion. Design of the insulation system. If it is my pipe and I have given this cladding top and I have given the joint here on the top, then the chances of water ingress will be high. But if I am giving this joint of this cladding sheet here, then chances of water ingress will be less. So design of insulation system is very important. What insulation we are using, which type of insulation, how we are designing it to avoid moisture ingress or keep it at minimum. So that's very important in CUI. Insulation type. So we have to use better quality insulation, like for SS piping the chlorides should be minimum. The salts which might get deposited on the metal surface, that should be minimum. So we have to use proper insulation type. Then environment. If my environment is near the sea where there is a higher moisture or humidity, then there will be much more chances of the CUI. So environment also is a critical factor. If we are lying on a rainy area where frequent rains are happen, then the equipments under insulation will be more prone to the CUI. Cyclic thermal operation. If we are operating under cyclic conditions, means if sometimes my temperature is high, sometimes it get lower, but then again high. So if it is a cyclic thermal operation, then we are prone for the CUI. So that's need to be first considered in our CUI list. Intermittent service. If my service is intermittent, then also we are prone. Then some of the no flow lines, where like PSV upstream downstream lines, control valve bypass lines, and so when there is a no significant flow or bypass lines or NNF lines, then they are also prone for the CUI. So if high annual rainfall area, they are prone. Warmer marine locations, so that are also prone. So these are the critical factors which need to be considered while reviewing our plant CUI equipment and piping lists. Now how CUI happens in austenitic stainless steel. So as we discussed, CUI happens in austenitic stainless steel. Externally it will be in the form of a chloride stress corrosion cracking. So because insulation material may contain the chloride, that's why I am telling in specification as well, you need to have the chloride should be minimum. Okay, so otherwise when it will get moisture, the chloride will be there and it will get concentrated on the surface and will cause transgranular chloride stress corrosion cracking. Okay, so first line of defense, what we can do, we have to provide a stainless SS or aluminum foil prior to the piping. Means first cladding, then insulation, then aluminum foil. And nowadays the one more layer of defense has been provided, that we need to provide coating, means painting on SS. If temperature allows, then we need to paint also to avoid the CUI in austenitic stainless steel. Now what are the type of insulation? So basically there are based on API 583 classification, there are three types of insulation: granular, fibrous and cellular insulation system. So these are the main classification, and major generic types of insulation which are listed in NACE are calcium silicate, expanded perlite, mineral wool. So mineral wool we are frequently using, cellular glass, organic foam glass. These are the advanced one. the aerogel. So this is a aerogel, pyrogel are advanced one, and these are moisture retardant. Then epoxy centratic foam, spray on acrylic. So these are the general type of insulation which is being used in the industry. Now depending on the temperature conditions, different type of insulation systems has been used. Like in granular, there is a calcium silicate, expandable perlite. So these are the two types of granular insulation, and here is the temperature range where we can use this. Then cellular, in cellular there will be cellular glass, and this the temperature range of -260 to 480. So then fibrous, in fibrous, which is frequently used, mineral wool, fiberglass are the two types. Then cellular, in cellular there are different forms, and last one is aerogel. It's an advanced version, and it's a silica aerogel. Also here the temperature range is very high, operating -270 to 650. So these are the different commonly used insulation materials which we should be aware of. Now I told, the different thickness of the insulation material depends on the how much heat we want to preserve and what is our operating conditions. Now for the same heat conservation, like it is a 105 degree operating temperature pipe, and if we have to apply different insulation systems, then the thickness will be different. Like the pyrogel can conserve the same heat at 10 mm thickness, but if we are applying mineral wool, then it requires 25 mm thickness. If we are using calcium silicate, it will require 38 mm thickness to preserve the same heat. And if we are using extended perlite, then it's required the higher thickness of 15 mm for conservation of the same heat. So depending on our insulation system, the thickness is decided. Also here this is a graph of water take up versus time submerged under the water. So the time of the submerged days means is a type of test which has carried out. So how much water an insulation system can absorb. So we can see the pyrogel absorbs the least water, while the perlite absorbs the maximum water. So based on that we need to design our insulation system. Now these are the few examples where the test has been carried out and observation has been taken on day 1, day 84 and after insulation removal. So approx 3 months of insulation removal, the observations has been taken. So here like first we will see the cellular glass. After 84 days you see the condition. They have absorbed the moisture, and we can see the initiation of the corrosion. So extended perlite is showing good performance. Now mineral wool, it's also showing the corrosion and insulation initiation. Now the cryogel, it's also good. Cryogel is also good, showing good performance. Cellular glass, no. Then extended perlite, it's also showing the good performance. So this will give the better basic idea, means which insulation system perform better, and this test was carried out just to give the demonstration of the same. So now coming to the mitigation steps. If what are the mitigation measures to be taken to avoid the CUI. So first thing which we need to keep in mind, we have to avoid the moisture ingress in our insulation system as much as possible for the carbon steel pipings. And for stainless steel, we have to avoid the moisture ingress, and we have to keep the chloride level much as minimum as possible to avoid CLACC or pitting corrosion. So first is appropriate coating to the equipment prior to insulating. So first we have to apply proper coating, either it's carbon steel or stainless steel. We have to apply coating properly to the system, so that will work as a second line of defense. Then avoid moisture ingress. We have to do all the things to avoid moisture ingress, like using proper insulation, using insulation jacketing, using sealants, vapor barriers. So these things we can do to avoid moisture ingress. Then thin aluminium foil wrapped on stainless steel piping. So for stainless steel piping, to avoid the chloride contamination on the pipe, first wrap the foil. Then careful selection of the insulation material is important. It should be good quality. Then insulation with added corrosion inhibitor is also available, which will avoid the corrosion. Then low chloride insulation should be used on the 300 stainless steel to minimize pitting and CLACC. We discussed alternatives in order to avoid the use of insulation as practical, like we have to review in the plant whether some areas are there where really insulation is required. So if insulation is not required, we have to remove it at all. If it is required for the personal protection use, then we can provide the metal cages. See, in our plant, when it got designed, then maybe there is a actual insulation requirement, but where over a period of running the plant, you can see certain equipments or piping which are insulated, but really insulation are not required due to the certain changes done in the plant. So we need to review whether these really required insulation. So if it is not, we can remove the insulation permanently. And some of areas where this insulation are provided at the personal protective because of the certain heat, so because of the safety purpose, so we can remove that insulation as well and providing the metal cage type cages, so that will also protect. Okay, so then focused inspection plan for CUI prone equipment line. We have to prepare a list of equipment and piping which are prone to CUI based on the guideline, and we have to keep a better monitoring system on that focused inspection plan for that equipments and piping, and we have to track them also. So list of piping and equipment prone to CUI with proper tracking. Then regular monitoring and replacement should be a practice. We need to check whether some insulation is damaged. Then as per API guideline, we have to open a certain amount of insulation. If we found it get damage and CUI insulation, then we have to furthermore open the insulation to check. So that's how you have to prepare a strategy to fight with this hidden threat and to avoid the failure. So hope you have find this video useful, and this is a lecture series on corrosion, and this will be continued. So stay with me, join me, subscribe my channel, and you will learn lot of things. Thank you very much.